Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I love having a morning practice where I can just relax, get comfortable, set an intention for the day, and go into the day strong and healthy, expecting things to work out, expecting an abundance, expecting ease and flow. And that is completely opposite of how I used to live my life. I used to hit the snooze alarm at least 3 times. On a bad day, it might be 6. I used to drag myself out of bed and go to a job that had been a good job, a good government job with pay and benefits. But after a while, I felt a calling to do something more, but I was afraid. I didn't understand. I couldn't see the future. I couldn't see how I could possibly give up a good paying job, a comfort zone, something that I knew for the unknown. That seemed too scary. And so I held myself basically stuck. Even though I had a good government job, I had a good life, I felt like there was something more. I had a calling that I was ignoring, but the longer I stayed where I was, the worse I felt. The sicker I got, the more mental anguish came into my mind. And every day I would be expecting work to be hard. And guess what? It got harder and harder and harder. I was expecting the same old, same old. That's what I got. I was expecting to be tired and exhausted at the end of each day, and I was. I didn't understand that my own thoughts were creating the negativity. My own expectations were causing me to live the same day over and over and over. If you're old enough to remember the movie Groundhog Day, you know what I mean when I say it was like waking up to Groundhog Day. Every day was the same. Every day, hitting the snooze alarm, dragging myself out of bed, going to a job that was no longer fulfilling me, and coming home at the end of the day exhausted. What I want for you is to start your day knowing that it's a new, fresh day, and the energy that creates worlds is behind you, lifting you up, helping you to soar, raising you to higher vibrational energies, allowing you to expect abundance, expect ease and flow, expect life to get better and better and better. When I started realizing that I was meant for more, I went searching. What does that mean? And I started to work with Bob Proctor, who was one of the top gurus for personal and professional development. And he explained that we get what we expect and that we do live the same day over and over and over, unless and until we consciously decide that we're going to go for something better and allow better to come into our lives and not block it, not put up excuses and reasons why we can't, not looking at outside circumstances and saying, see, I can't because. If you have an excuse, you're not going to go for something better. But if you have a really good reason, it's going to be even harder to go after abundance, prosperity, health, wealth, love, purposeful work or whatever else you truly desire until you change your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. Because we tend to take the same actions every day, and guess what? That leads to the same behaviors, which leads to the same results. So changing what you do affects your life. Starting your day with a morning practice, getting into a mindful state, and designing your life the way you want it, instead of just allowing whatever to come in. That's a really easy way to live your life, but most people make it harder than it really is, because we hang on to old doubts and fears, and we worry. And as this, there is an infinite energy that is always flowing to and through us, but we make it what it is. We create it good or bad. It's just neutral until we add our own thoughts and feelings. Your mind is a powerful magnet, and as such, it attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state. Is your ruling state love and joy and happiness and well-being and faith? Or are you ruled by doubt and worry and anxiety and fear? Expectation dictates what that ruling state will be, and therefore governs what corresponds to the mind and what is attracted into your life. Expectation can be either a blessing or a curse, but either way, it is certainly one of the most powerful unseen forces in your life. Bob Proctor wrote a book, You Were Born Rich, and there's a chapter called Expect an Abundance. He asks, what are you doing to increase your income? If your answer to this question is nothing, or if you're just beginning to think seriously about what you could do, you have probably not yet grasped the ideas that he presents in earlier chapters, talking about letting go and let God, and changing your self-image to match who you really are, getting an idea of you are God's highest form of creation, and as such, you are perfectly created. You are enough the way you are. But as a spiritual being, we always want more. That's not selfish. That's not a sin. That's the spiritual side of you wanting expansion and further expression. And you can have whatever you want, but whatever you conceive in your mind, you can receive, but you have to believe it. You have to get your mind, your body, your heart, all in alignment, and believing that it's possible for you, not letting outside influences and circumstances affect your vision for your beautiful goal, what your heart's desire is. Expectation can be a triggering mechanism which attracts into your life every good that you desire. But if you're not careful, expectation can also turn into a destructive, lethal enemy. You must be cognizant of how you are exercising this invisible but powerful force. You cannot be asking for wealth and expecting more bills and poverty. You cannot be wanting love and being miserable to yourself, thinking that you're not enough, talking yourself into not good enough. Bob Proctor says, I believe you understand that you cannot have wealth in the material world until you have first visualized the wealth in your mind. But what does this really mean? It means that before any of us can even begin to overcome the poverty which surrounds us in our external world, we must first conquer the impoverishment that is buried deep within ourselves. Prosperity is simply the inward awareness of the opulence, the wholeness, and the completeness that abounds within the spiritual realm. In other words, it is impossible to feel poor when you are conscious of being enveloped in the protective care of a loving God, a universal spirit, universal intelligence, or whatever else you may wish to call this spiritual center of our universe. There never is and there never has been any lack of supply other than that which we have created for ourselves because of our own limited awareness. I'm going to read the light bulb story and think about how we put limits on our own thinking. This story should underscore the great truth about your infinite source of supply. Bob Proctor says, visualize, if you will, a poor couple who have spent their entire lives living in the backwaters of civilization. Then imagine them suddenly transported to a small village where, to their astonishment, they discover that their new home is being lighted by something magical called electricity. Since they've had no previous experience with that force, in fact, they never have even seen electric light before, they are completely mesmerized by the little 8-candle power electric bulbs which light their little home. Several months pass by, and eventually the couple start to regard the light bulbs as an accepted facet of modern life. However, one day a smooth-talking salesman appears at their door, telling them their 8-candle power electric bulbs are no longer adequate for their needs. He tells them they should buy the new 60-candle powered bulbs, which have just come onto the market. Since the couple has now become slightly more adventuresome, they agree to let the salesman demonstrate this newfangled product. As soon as the new bulb is plugged in and the electricity turned on, the couple become transfixed once again. For not only does the new 60-watt bulb emit a light, it actually illuminates the entire room. Never in their wildest fantasies had the couple ever imagined that the source of the new flood of illumination had been there all the time. Nor had they realized this enormously increased light could originate from the same current which fed their little 8-candle power light bulb. It's strange we smile at the naivety demonstrated by this poor couple. But the truth is, most of us are even less aware of our own power. We laugh at this little couple that had been living their life by a candle and then an 8-candle power bulb, and how they were amazed by the 60-watt bulb. Well, if we look around now, everything is lit up. Sometimes you can't even go to sleep because of all the incandescent light coming in the window from outside. But you have an electric current flowing into your mind. You have been gifted with the power of imagination. You've got power flowing into you that you can create what you want. You can get an idea, and rather than dismissing it as impossible or crazy or a newfangled product, you can tap into the energy that creates worlds and change how you experience your life. Like the couple in the story, we never even dreamed that the infinite current which surrounds us could flood our lives with a light more magnificent than the most powerful light bulb ever devised. We never grasped the simple truth that all we need to do to improve our results is to plug a larger, more prosperous idea into the infinite current of life. Instead, most of us strangle our supply with energy-impoverished thoughts of doubt and fear, which entirely cut off the inflow of prosperity. I want you to think about changing your habitual pattern of thinking. That's right. Just change it now. There is a stream of plenty that is always flowing towards the open, expectant mind. What are you expecting? You must understand that you already have, in substance, if not in physical form, everything necessary to produce prosperity in your material world. The two determining factors for you to attain those results, the results that you desire, the results that you really want, are, number one, a deep desire, and number two, expectation. Up to this point, you might have been living the way the masses live their entire lives simply because you are harboring the false assumption that desire is the only thing you need to reach your goal. But you must understand, if your desire is not combined with the expectation that you will receive what you desire, you will find yourself continually frustrated and disappointed whenever you begin working toward any kind of material goal. When you cast your mind back over the experiences of your own life, you will soon realize that whenever you did reach a desired goal, you not only desired that goal, but you actually expected to attain it as well. Desire without expectation is nothing more than wishful thinking. And since the vast majority of people wish positive but expect negative, they seldom attain what they're really after. In The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles gave us an excellent definition of desire. He said, desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without, through your action. In other words, your ideal your dream, your goal, this wealth you wish to see materialize can only become a desire once it has been properly planted in the subconscious mind. However, once your desire has been firmly established, it is the expectant attitude which ensures that your goal or dream is not uprooted or replaced by any opposing or competing ideas. What is it that you really want? You become aware of the fact that it is necessary to be specific about how much money you want or what your life looks like, getting clear on the picture. It's not about the money, it's about how you want to live in the style you choose. If you say you want to be a millionaire, what are you going to do with that money? And keep in mind, people were millionaires in the 1930s. So in the 2020s, you could become a multimillionaire or a billionaire, or you could just decide what kind of lifestyle do you really want. You have to be consciousness of a prosperity mindset before you can ever see the money in your bank account. We have to bathe our subconscious mind with the concept of prosperity and see wealth as already in our possession. And then we have to let go of how it has to happen. Because if you're earning $50,000 a year and you want to be a multimillionaire, you can't get there from the mindset of someone thinking of poverty. You have to get into the state of feeling what it's like and expecting it. You must reach the stage in your mental development where you don't just believe that your image of material wealth will manifest in form, but you actually know that it will. No one and no thing will be able to cause you to see in your mind anything but wealth and prosperity, or whatever it is that you desire. The truth is not always in the appearance of things. Bob Proctor says an elderly, wealthy gentleman being interviewed by a newspaper reporter was asked at what point he became successful. His answer was, "I was successful when I was sleeping on a park bench because I knew where I was and I knew where I was going." You know where you are and you know where you're going. So expect to get there. Take the time to get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What is it like? Tell me what your vision is. What is your dream? The joy, the fulfillment, the wealth, the comfort, the freedom to travel wherever you want, whenever you want, because you have the time, the health, and the wealth. Your desire is the motor power which will move you in the direction of your dream, and expectation is the attractive force that will move your dream in your direction. So see yourself moving towards the goal that you visualize, and see the goal that you visualize being attracted to you. Know that you will come in contact with your goal that is moving to you at the right time. No one knows what period of time must elapse, so don't become impatient if it doesn't materialize overnight. All we know for sure is a certain period of time must elapse, and the period of time which your image must take to materialize is governed by the law of gender. The law of gender decrees there is a gestation or an incubation period for the manifestation of all seeds. The image of wealth that you choose to build on the screen of your conscious mind and then turn it over to your subconscious mind is a seed, and it is growing into physical form, the most fertile field of which you could ever conceive. Since spirit is flowing to and through you, you are the instrument. Therefore, the image or the ideas you hold in your mind dictate the limits which are placed on the spiritual power flowing to and through you. Just like the light bulb the elderly couple had in their home, you are an instrument through which spirit flows, just as a light bulb is an instrument through which electricity flows. Everything moves from a higher to a lower power. When the old couple plugged in the 8-candle power bulbs, the electricity was limited in its expression by the power of the bulb. However, when the salesman plugged in the 60-candle power bulb, the electricity was free to express itself to a greater degree, and yet even then it was limited by the form through which it flowed, the new light bulb. A 100-candle power bulb would have permitted an even greater expression, and so on. Therefore, if you held an image of poverty, that is what you will see expressed in your results or in your material world. However, since you can now hold an image of prosperity, that is the image you will see expressed in your material world. The non-physical creative substance, which is spirit, flows to and through the seed and expresses itself in physical form. The modus operandi of spirit is law, and of course the law of attraction is a cause, and growth or expansion is the effect. So keep visualizing yourself as a perfectly endowed spiritual instrument without limitations of any kind. If you do, it will be easy, it will be natural to expect the good that you desire. Doubt simply obstructs the unfoldment of your desire. So when you continually originate images of doubt, you know you will never see the materialization of the image you desire. Only the reproductive, creative spirit of life knows what you think until your thoughts become physical facts and materialize in your body or in your physical affairs. Then everyone with whom you come in contact may know, because the intelligent energy rewards you openly by reproducing your thoughts in physical form. As a person thinks, they become. If you want wealth and prosperity and love and joy in your life, you must think from that power. Open yourself up to what it feels like to be healthy, wealthy, joyful, fulfilled, and then become that physically. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. And for my clients, I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock to talk about avoiding the landmines that will sabotage your success. Thank you.